We have Minnesota a 1-point favorite. We flipped. I don't know that it really matters all that much when this sort of maneuvering happens throughout the week. I don't have a play on the side. I think the total's fascinating, but this just is screaming prop game to me. Like that's where I'm at. The total is so high at 54. That's where we finally have some resistance. It was a quick move upwards from 50. It opened 50 last week when they first posted it, and then it got to 54 here. And I certainly understand why that's the move. I don't have a strong opinion on the side. We know Minnesota plays in tight games. That really doesn't come into play here. Jefferson's been off to a great start. He has 150 plus yards in each of his first 2 games. I mean, doesn't this just scream props? And I know the prices aren't going to be what you typically get as far as anytime touchdowns, but I expect whether they're scoring or not, we're going to have a lot of offense going up and down the field. And I'm not worried about Eckler. He did not practice again yesterday. That just might mean a great opportunity for Kelly and to take a look at some of his props as he fills that role.
Yep. I was looking at him as well. I think we're going to see more of Joshua Kelly. Chargers defense is last in EPA. Vikings rank 19th. I hammered Justin Jefferson over 100.5 yards. I mean, you said it, Joe. He's gone over 100 twice, and this Chargers defense stinks. Like, you don't even have to do a ton of research to figure that out. How is his prop only at 100.5? I don't care. I'm betting it. It was only minus 114. I'm all in on that. Anytime touchdown. Justin Jefferson minus 105. What are we doing here against this bad Chargers defense? I think this is a prop game as well. The total is interesting since both of these offenses can put up some points, and mediocre defense for Vikings, awful defense for the Chargers. I'm sure this total rather is sharp at 54, so I might stay away from it.
I don't care who you are. The fact that you have a triple-digit prop out there and we still think the over is the right play, that's nuts. It's just nuts. Like, you don't see that very much, and yet I am wholeheartedly endorsing the over here. And when it comes to this Chargers defense, it's really top-heavy. I know we want to point out a few players here and there and say, actually, this is a pretty good defense because they have X or they have Y. Well, as a cohesive unit, they are absolutely abysmal. And one of the things that I know we do every single preseason is we make fun of the optimism because you have 32 camps and 31 of them or 30 of them are showing insane optimism for anybody and everybody. And we heard that a lot, at least out here in Los Angeles, when it came to Michael Davis, the defensive back for the Chargers. Well, guess what, guys? He's having a brutal start to the year. His 3 receptions over expected is the worst mark among anyone in football right now. There was a lot of hype for him, and opposing quarterbacks are picking on him. So yes, this Chargers defense is absolutely top heavy. And now the challenge gets much, much worse with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and company. So yes, this can be a great prop game, but I think the Vikings can cover this one, and I have no problem backing them and having the Chargers fall to 0-3. This is interesting because Titans plus 3.5, it's one of the more bet teams at BetMGM, so the public certainly agrees with you folks. But I am siding with the Browns here. They have one of the better offensive lines in all of football, so that should negate any pressure that the Titans may bring as far as the pass rush goes. Yes, that run defense for the Titans is good, but they haven't faced anything like what this offensive line can do. So that matters to me. Yeah, turnovers, that makes Cleveland's offense looks a little bit worse, but that can get cleaned up quickly, and that is a volatile stat, so you don't want to stress that too much. The other thing, too, is it's not just Myles Garrett that's making this Browns defense so effective, but Denzel Ward, the cornerback, has been one of the better DBs going. So at every level, the Browns defense is absolutely fantastic, and they are proving that if they're not the best defense in football, they're a top 3 unit. And to make matters even better for Cleveland, how are the Titans offensively going to move the ball down the field? Derrick Henry is limited. Tyjae Spears just can't get going. You don't really trust the passing attack, at least so far, with the Titans. And so that's a big problem there. I just think this Browns defense is going to pretty much wreak havoc and dominate this football game in a lot of ways. And folks, this is what's really crazy to me, is that I think whenever you build a model, you always have one game or two games where your number is substantially off than the markets. And guys, my number for this game is Browns -6. So not only am I backing Cleveland in this spot, I'm going to do an alternate spread. Not going to go through the key numbers, but I'm going to buy it to Browns -5.5 at +120. What do you think about that, Joe?
Aaron, not only is he just fading us, he's like, I'm gonna stab you
alt
right now.
Spread?
Like, we're going alt line. Okay, let's see. Let's see it. Sick with Watson. You're doing this with Watson. It's not
with
one
Watson.
of the worst teams in NFL. All right.
We've got the Texans and the Jaguars, and I believe, Joe, it is now official as a show. Our survivor pick is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the reason for this, we were kind of torn, I believe, between the Jaguars and the Seahawks. One of the things I do when I run my model is I run out the rest of the season. Obviously, things can change with quarterback changes and all that stuff. So you always are updating. You're always looking at different scenarios. One of the things I did was I ran out the rest of the season as is. And there are other times to pick the Seahawks because the Cardinals are in their division and they get them twice. So that may be a good time to take Seattle. However, there isn't a better time to take Jacksonville because even though they do get the Texans again, this game is in Jacksonville. So to me, there isn't a better time to take the Jags. You can wait on the Seahawks, and that's why I feel like Jacksonville is the best pick for Survivor, and it looks like you feel that way too.
Yeah, I was with you, but I'll be honest, when it was 10 this week, I was thinking, should they really be favored by 10 in this spot against the Texans that can move the ball? So last week, the Texans were dealing with a ton of offensive line issues. Now it looks like they're getting healthier there. Now they have another cluster situation going on, and it's going to impact the passing offense of the Jaguars because we addressed with John Daigle the Derek Stingley injury, which is probably going to end up being a couple months. He's going to be out. They're missing their safety Petrie. If you look at the depth chart of the Texans right now, for including nickel, 4 of their 5 starters are not looking good to play on Sunday. So that is going to open things up for Trevor Lawrence, for Calvin Ridley, and I don't know that Zay Jones is going to play either, right? So the Ridley numbers around 65.5, 66.5 still. And if Zay Jones is out, you would think that he's going to get a ton of the targets. So at home, I could see Trevor Lawrence with a big game. He's had his struggles. He missed Ridley for a touchdown last week. Same with Zay Jones. Against this very poor Texans secondary filled with backups, I don't see that happening this week.
But honestly, what we're seeing right now in Broncos games, something I want to be ahead of, is that they have the perfect cocktail for overs and points in those games in general. Because right now, Denver's offense has quietly scored a touchdown on the 5th highest rate of their possessions. Their offense is not the issue. Although they have the pieces on defense, for some odd reason, they've been absolutely miserable. Even the Raiders scored a touchdown on the top 5 rate in the league of their drives in week 1. And then, of course, last week we saw Sam Howell have no issues, 35 points on offense against them. Denver's defense right now, 29th in pressure rate, despite blitzing at the 7th highest rate in the league. They're just not getting there, and they're not causing any havoc at all. So if they're allowing everyone to come through the air against them, even if Jalen Waddle's out this game, I think Miami can find success quite easily and force the Broncos into an over and to pass the ball more. So I do like Russell Wilson over sneakily this week.